Well, we do love cricket, don't we? But
Yes.
is that about to change for those in the West Indies? And the reason I say that is because England and Australia could play 2 Ashes series every 3 years from 2027 onwards under a radical 2-division plan that is reportedly being considered. It's been reported that the chairs of Australia, England and India are due to meet this month to discuss splitting the 12 Test nations into 2 divisions. Now, this would allow the big 3, as they like to call themselves, to play their hugely lucrative series more often. West Indies legend Clive Lloyd says he's disturbed by the idea as it could make the West Indies even worse. Let's find out what's going on a little more with a man who loves Test cricket more than most. Very good morning to double Ashes winner Steve Harmison. Morning, Harmy.
Morning, Harmy.
Good morning, boys. How are we?
Yeah, we're very
fine,
good.
mate. I mean, what's going on here? This is like it's the living cricket, isn't it? I mean, what's going on? You're spoiling it. You've gone money mad, you lot.
Yeah, we have got money mad in more ways than one. I'm with Clive Lloyd. I'm quite disturbed about it. There's 2 ways of looking at it. Test cricket needs something to survive because it's dying apart from the sort of big 3, big 4, 5 nations that can afford to play Test cricket. I think what we've got to put into context is, West Indies, it's all well and good them saying, they're disturbed by it, but there are countries who can't afford to play Test cricket. What it costs to put a Test match on, it costs a lot of money and there's nobody watching. And the broadcast deal for Sri Lanka playing against the West Indies, or Bangladesh playing against the West Indies, there's no money for it. So they have to find a way somehow, the ICC. I don't believe it should be the big 3 playing against each other every single year, because without the big 3, the small countries can't exist. But without the sort of the smaller countries, I don't think people would enjoy Test cricket, just the big 3 playing each other. So there needs to be an honest conversation with adults in the room, as apart from, like Jeff, you're saying there, money men just thinking it's all about the cash.
I mean, Harmy, look, as far as the West Indies are concerned, they say they only make money from tours when England or India come to the Caribbean. So if instead it's going to be Bangladesh, well, Test cricket's dead in the West Indies then, isn't it? Historically one of the great Test playing nations. Shouldn't we be doing more to help them rather than throwing them to the wolves?
Absolutely, Jeff. And I think that's the message I would like to put to the ICC is adults in the room have a conversation on how we can keep Test cricket in that region alive. Because, in the 70s and 80s, I mean, the West Indies helped a lot of Test nations by going over and playing with the likes of the bowling attacks that they had, the Holdens and Marshalls, the Garners, all these big names, of Viv Richards, all that. They were the big team. They were one of the big 3, and now I think the West Indies need help. Look, it comes down to money and it comes down to paying players. The players don't get paid a lot for playing Test match cricket. For one day of a 2020 match, they get played a whole sort of Test series in one day, possibly in some parts of the world. So it is coming down to money. Can the ICC find a Test fee across the board, which will keep the West Indies players wanting to play Test cricket? And then you're not watching a 3rd generation of West Indies players playing. You're watching the best generation of West Indies players playing Test cricket. Because at the minute, the West Indies haven't got a very good Test side because the best players are playing white ball cricket. So there's all that into the mix. It's not as simple as just going, right, the big 3 are pulling away. They're pulling away because they're the ones that are playing Test cricket more properly, and their best players are playing all the time. So it's such a difficult conversation to have, and it's such a complex look at it. You look at the World Test Championship, South Africa, and this is no fault of South Africa. They're getting to the final. They've played 12 games in 24 months. They've played India once. That's it. The rest of them have been the lower nations. And that's not Neil Manthorpe said it's like winning the 100 metres with a 10 metre head start. That's how the World Test Championship works. That's flawed as well. I mean, it really is. So Test cricket in the world it needs a good shake-up, but it's so important that it's done properly. Because if not, in 5 to 10 years' time, Test cricket could be gone for about 4 or 5 teams, and that's why a lot of people like Michael Vaughan are saying we should have 2 divisions in Test cricket.
I mean, for the life of me, I absolutely don't get it. If you want to save Test cricket, which we all do, then why would you have a big three breaking away and making the distance between the big three and the Bangladeshis and the Sri Lanka, the distance greater in the West Indies, the greater than ever before? It's going to kill Test cricket, is it not?
Jeff, Ali, how many conversations have you had about the European Super League? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
How many conversations have you had like that?
Yeah.
This is possibly what cricket is looking at. And it's all about money. It's all about money. England against, and what the ICC will say that, 75% of the revenue or 80% of the revenue comes from the Indian TV market. Because the Indian TV market want England to play Australia, Australia to play India, and India to play England. And that's where the money is. And it filters down because of that to the other boards, and they get that money to promote their cricket in their region. And the fat cats just get richer. It won't filter down into Test match cricket. And that's what I'm saying, an honest conversation with adults in the room who want to preserve the best format of the game needs to happen. Because for me, in the last 12 months, the best format of the game in world cricket has been Test match cricket.
Yeah,
because of the World Test Championship. Yeah, the World Test Championship has been on everybody's lips because everybody wants to get the final. And I think that should be a message to the boards to say, come on, let's get the right solution. Not forget about money, because money's the most important thing. But can we distribute it in such a way to make the best players in your country want to play Test cricket? Then all of a sudden the broadcast deals will be better because the best players are playing against the best players in Test match cricket. And that's where we need to get to. If we don't get there, I think Test cricket for about 4 countries will be gone, and it will be only about six playing nations.
Harmy, you brought football into the discussion very briefly. How confident are you that this could finally be Newcastle's year for a trophy?
Yeah, I mean, you say I'm confident. You're confident because of the way Newcastle are playing. I mean, they're playing extremely well at this moment in time. Confidence is high. Every single player is probably playing to their best of their ability. It's obviously it is a big night. There are 4 very good teams in this Carabao Cup semi-final. So yes, I'm confident because of the way we're playing. But I mean, to go to Arsenal and win, to beat Arsenal twice over 2 legs, and then to beat either Tottenham or Liverpool, well, I mean, you deserve to win the trophy then. So fingers crossed for Eddie and the boys tonight. I do fancy them. I think if it's not the Carabao Cup, I fancy them to win the FA Cup this season, because I mean, at this moment in time in the Premier League, Newcastle are going really, really well. And if you look at the next 7 games that Newcastle have got in the Premier League, there's no reason why Newcastle couldn't finish in the top 4, if not in the top 3 this season as well, as long as they keep this run going. And that's going to start with tonight.
Good lad. Harmy, thanks very much.
Cheers, Harmy.
Cheers, boys.
I can't get. Look, I've grown up with the West Indies as being such a force in cricket. And I know they're not anymore, but I go back as far as Sobers and Canhigh and Wes Hall, Charlie Griffiths, right through Gordon Greenwich, Holding, Viveridge. It's impossible to imagine a world of Test cricket. Yeah, can't imagine a world of Test cricket without the West Indies.
I'm with you. I just think that's madness. That does not make any sense at all.
Just a case of the big boys looking after their own backs, isn't it?
Of course it is.
When they should be looking after those who need the support. Double Ashes winner Steve Harmison there. Don't forget the live and exclusive cricket keeps coming on talkSPORT. We'll be in India for the up-and-coming White Ball Series, 5 T20s, 3 one-day internationals. Joe Root back in the squad. That gets underway in 2 weeks.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.